What would you do if you could feel no pain? In Paramount's latest feature film, we explore that idea by following a man incapable of feeling physical pain. That sounds really nice. Our spoiler-free movie review on Novocaine starts now.
This is Popcorn for Breakfast, presented by St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Now, here are your hosts, Cam and Kirk.
Welcome back to Popcorn for Breakfast, y'all. We were just talking about, as the music played, about physical pain, but emotional pain as well, and how great it is this movie takes away the physical feeling of pain. But I want a superhero movie or just a regular Joe Schmo movie where it's about someone with no emotional pain.
You can't hurt my feelings. I feel like that's anything with like an android robot type character, you know, like David from the Alien movies.
Yes.
Um,
Megan Fox from one of the 4 movies that she's a robot, or
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I think there's options.
Yeah,
for that.
I think that's great. I really hope that's the next. I don't want a sequel of Novocaine. I want a spin-off where the whatever makes him not have physical pain, I want it to extend to emotional pain. Maybe it's a long lost brother or a cousin or some sort of family line. I think it needs to be in the blood of this family.
I like it. So the person's just a sociopath, is what you're saying.
Exactly what I'm saying.
Excellent.
You nailed
it. I think
it.
they have movies about that too. I don't know.
Well, again, welcome to the spoiler-free movie review of Novocaine. This is Popcorn for Breakfast. The best part of this movie review podcast is sitting right here. Your co-host, Cam, right here. Hi, Cam.
I needed that this week. So Thank you. Thank you for that. It's Tuesday, and Tuesdays are the worst days of the week. And if maybe one episode I'll do a PowerPoint presentation on why Tuesdays are the worst days of the week. If you don't already agree, I will bring you to my side. But no, it's better now that I'm here to talk about movies.
Yeah, we'll suck them in with like a really big movie release. We'll say, you guys won't believe
Superman.
what happened. Watch this.
Imagine we just
we pull down the screen.
We torpedo our own Superman review to rickroll everybody with a Tuesday PowerPoint presentation.
I was watching this movie review. I thought it was Superman, but now I just hate Tuesdays. That's what they're going to say.
You're welcome.
We're going to go through this movie. I was not able to go to this screening. I had rehearsal for a small production, not so small. That's right. I'm in a musical called Newsies at my son's school, K through 12. Come check it out. You'll have to find me, though, because I'm not going to tell you the location. Good luck. But anyways, I was not able to see it, so Cam was able to. And so, like always, when we can't both go see it, we send someone as our national representative.
Yep.
And then we interview them in a crazy way.
It's very nerve-wracking. I feel like there's a lot of pressure. Because I can't just if I feel like I'm too crazy, I can't reel myself in based on your review, which I never do anyway. But
yeah. Okay.
I actually really don't do that, but I could. That's the thing. It's the security blanket. You don't want to have to use it, but if you're like giving a movie a 9 and I'm like at a 1,
okay,
I might have to check myself, which has never happened, but you never know.
Yeah, so you're going in blind.
Totally blind.
Everyone out there watching and listening, they're going to be like, wow, he did not see the same movie as I did.
Yeah,
which can happen anyways, right? I've given plenty of movies like fantastic scores or terrible scores, and then someone comes around and says, you're wrong.
Yep. That's the beauty of it. I don't know why I yelled that, but that is the beauty of it. I think, a lot of people look down on scoring movies. They're like, you can't score. I forget who was Francis Ford Coppola, I think, said that after the Oscars. We're in an age where people are applying scores to art, and that's despicable. And I would expect somebody like him to say that, and I don't begrudge him for that at all. And I think in a certain way he's right, but at the same time, a lot of community around film has been built based on people scoring films based on their own subjective opinions. And so the score really doesn't mean anything to anybody except for you. But it's a really fun exercise, and that's what we're here to do.
It is, and it helps us relate to one another. It helps us find our friends, find our enemies. It's a wonderful
Find our enemies, like you, Francis Ford Coppola. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a wonderful social experiment, and you could do it all in your private little world. You don't have to be a movie star or anything like that. It's fantastic.
Yes.
Little twist with this episode, I am going to be implementing a series of different things to Cameron if he says a magical buzzword.
What?
So
what does that mean?
He doesn't even know the word. He won't even know the word. You won't know the word until it happens. But then again, I'm going to do something uncomfortable multiple times, hopefully.
Do I get to consent to this, or do I? It's just happening.
No, it's happening. You have no power here in your home.
I'm going to be very choiceful about my words.
Very choiceful.
Yes.
It's good that that's not a word.
I don't think it is a word, but I've heard people at work have been using that word. This is the weird thing that happens sometimes when you work in corporate, in a corporate setting. There's so many nonsense words used all the time that people then start to make up new nonsense words. And choiceful is one of them right now.
That's an awful choice.
Hey group, let's be choiceful.
Nope.
And I'm like, choiceful?
Mm-mm.
So yeah, that's why I used it.
There needs to be a follow-up meeting specifically on that word.
It's intervention. If you use this word, you're fired effective.
You should start tracking who does it.
I will.
Okay, great. That'd be fantastic.
I'll add myself to the list.
We're going to talk about a couple of different categories, 5 different categories to be more exact. We're going to go through, and the Oscar goes to, that is the best actor in this film. We're going to go to scene stealer. That's the best supporting actor, or someone who really stepped up or caught your eye. We're going to go through showstopper, where that's going to be production value of this film, or a specific scene or a specific moment that broke you or made you laugh harder than you've ever laughed in a movie. It can be either way. It can be dramatic, comedic, or anywhere in between. We're going to talk about the director's shoes, in which you put on the director's hat or pants or shoes or coat, whatever clothing that you want to, Cam. It's up to you. And you will tell us exactly how you would change this film and make it better or more well-suited for you. And finally, last looks. We want you to wrap it all into a little ball and put a little bow on it with your score of the rating out of 10.
Great.
Are you ready? And a reminder, be choiceful.
Perhaps.
With your words.
Perhaps I am ready.
He's going to say like 10 words.
I'm going to speak in Old English. Like it's going to sound like a Shakespearean play. I'm very scared.
Let's see what happens. Cam. And the Oscar goes to?
The Oscar goes to Jack Quaid. Jack Quaid, son of Dennis Quaid, making him a Nepo baby, which in some circles makes you worthless. I don't know. Like there's people on the internet who really hate Nepo babies. That's fine, I guess, if that's what you want to do. Jack Quaid's a good one. I'm a fan of Jack Quaid and his work. I think most people know him from The Boys. He's been in the Scream franchise. He's had a lot of fun roles of late. And this is another one to add to the list. He plays Nathan Kane, whose nickname is Novocaine. He is the man who could feel no pain due to a medical condition that he has, and is the sort of quasi superhero figure in this film. And just as you would expect with Jack Quaid, there's a big part of what he does. He's not an actor you would look at right now at this point in his career and go, wow, he's got a magnificent amount of range. No, he kind of gets typecast in this role as like this awkward, sort of uncomfortable in his own skin, kind of nerdy, quirky guy. And that's pretty much what's going on here. Because of this condition that he has, he's very introverted. He's very cautious in public settings. And a lot of this being an action rom-com mix is just him trying to navigate his life. And Jack Quaid fits it so well. And there's, even when the script is cheesy or whenever, they try to go for a certain tone and it doesn't hit, he seems to always hit his line reads exactly right and to create the exact right feel and tone in a scene. He and his scene partners, mostly Amber Mid-Thunder and Jacob Batalon, I think are the ones he shares the most scenes with. And they just have a lot of fun. And I think Jack Quaid committed really well. He has to do a lot of action sequences in this movie, which I think outside of The Boys, I mean, even in The Boys, he does it's different than the kind of action he's doing in this movie. This is a lot of like hand-to-hand found object combat that's going on.
That's my favorite.
Yeah, tons of like very specific fight choreography, and I feel like he just committed so well to it and had a ton of fun, and it was just a great performance to watch. Very fun.
I love how you described him as just kind of say it again. How you described him at the top of it.
I said he was uncomfortable in his own skin.
Uncomfortable in his skin. He's like the non-confident Adam Brody, like
yeah,
right? Like
yeah.
Adam Brody, if you don't know, he was in a long time ago the TV series The OC, which got him his start. He's in a new series which just got picked up for season 2 with Kristen Bell, which I can't remember the name of it.
I can't either.
They're doing like a podcast sort of thing, and they're romantic, they fall in love, right? But that's him. He is the non-confident. They look alike, honestly. Like
they do,
they're tall, they're in good shape, they're handsome. Fine, whatever, that's fine. So wonderful. So Adam Brody is your Oscar goes to
Jack
correct?
Quaid.
No, it's Adam Brody. I just want to confuse everybody. Let's move on to your scene stealer. You've cleared the first category, Cam. Nothing surprising or shocking happened, but I want to know your scene stealer if you can continue the trend.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who have talked about this movie on social media so far a lot of them have been praising the chemistry between Jack Quaid and his scene partner and co-star Amber Midthunder, who of course was the star of the breakthrough Prey Predator prequel movie that came out in the dark COVID days. And she was great. I think she has a bright future ahead of her, and I'm not going to get to talk about her, which is why I'm going out of my way to say I think she's going to do good things.
You tricked me.
What?
So it's not her?
No, it's not her.
Wow.
No, but I just wanted to put that out there because I didn't want it to be like, why did you not pick her? The reason I did not pick her, and maybe everybody will be rolling their eyes at this, is because I had to go with Matthew Walsh, who's from Veep. He's like one of my favorite guys on that show. He's a comedic actor, character actor. He plays Detective Coltrane in this movie, who is one of the detectives following the goings on with Novocaine and everything that transpires with him. And he's kind of part of the investigative team behind that. And what I love about this performance is this movie, and this is where my thoughts on this might be a little bit divisive. I didn't find it outwardly funny very often. They were going for laughs, but I don't think they were getting a lot of laughs. At least they weren't getting them from me. They were getting them from some people in the audience. Some people had a really, really good time with this film. I felt like a lot of the stuff they went for was cheap. You could feel the joke setup coming a mile away. A lot of stuff that just didn't land for me. And then there's Matthew Walsh, who has very few lines in this movie, but they're all one-liners and they're all hilarious. Like, I laughed every single time he said something. It was always something funny. It was usually something that you're like, he definitely improv that. Like, no chance that was written in this screenplay with all the other stuff that's in the screenplay. It just like was slightly too funny to be in this screenplay. So you're like, he either tweaked that or something. And man, is it so needed. They go for such a light and airy feel for this movie most of the time. There's like these weird moments where they get super dark for like 30 seconds and then snap back out of it.
Oh my.
But what they were really going for this movie is like campy, just fun. Mm-hmm. And I feel like it needed more laughs than that. And Matthew Walsh was like the laugh generator in this movie for me. So I have to give my flowers to him.
Wow.
A scene stealer.
I feel like he could be a distant cousin of mine. I feel like older, of course. But if I were to shave my hair and my beard and just leave my mustache, I mean, we look pretty close, pretty similar.
It's the pigmentation, I think, is very similar.
I think my face is rounder. He's got a very tall head.
He does.
I have a more potato head, just kind of anamorphic.
Wow.
You can't quite describe it.
Oh, man.
His is very distinct, right? And very regal. So I think that's a wonderful pick. I do like Matt. I do like Matthew Walsh a lot.
Also, Ray Nicholson in this movie.
Yeah.
He's the son of Jack Nicholson?
He sure is.
Yeah. So he's been kind of bursting onto the scene. Also a Nepo baby. Was in Smile 2 and was like kind of like a big deal in that movie. I was getting Ed Skrein vibes from him. You know who that is?
Oh, I do know that. That's the villain in Deadpool 1.
Yeah. So that weirded me out. In a lot of ways, I was like, is this like just like great value Ed Screen, but almost like not like whatever the opposite is of that, like the higher end version. I was like, Ed Screen is never going to work in this town again because Ray Nicholson is here to steal all his jobs. It's kind of how I was feeling.
Yeah, was he kind of like a kingpin kind of guy? Was he there to?
He was just very like
fight
very
people,
very sadistic and in the eyes, just like very
Yeah. Okay.
So
well, that makes sense. That's why he was cast that way. So it's in his blood.
It is.
Cam, I picked some terrible secret words.
Good.
You're not saying any of them, or you're being secret. So super careful.
I'm scared.
You read my diary. I don't know which one it is, but you've cleared the first and second categories. I have 3 to go, in which I hope and pray that you say one of these words.
I'm still so scared, honestly, terrified.
Oh, I'm not. Moving on to the next category, showstopper. Tell me.
I'll tell you. I will tell you. For me, the showstopper is the premise itself, but not just the premise, but how it's used. Whenever you have a premise like this for a movie that is outwardly gimmicky, right? Like that's what they're doing here. They're like, this is a gimmick. Come see this gimmick unfold. You have to lay all your cards on the table. Every single creative set piece that you have in your arsenal, like, play it. You have to lay it all on the line, because if you underuse the premise, then it's like, what are we doing? But we see this all the time where a movie has like a gimmicky premise and you go and you're like, they totally underutilized that whole premise. Let me tell you, they did not underutilize this premise. If anything, they overdid this premise with so many wacky, goofy, off the wall, violent, gory, crazy scenes. Like more than you would even imagine. I mean, it's like so many. And what I really like about it, though, is that you've got all these action set pieces that take place in different locations, and all of the locations make sense within the story. Sometimes when you have a gimmicky action premise, they make up things that don't make sense within the context of the story just so they can set up an action sequence. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
It's kind of like Madam Web, like, and now they're at a fireworks factory. Because, you know what I mean?
Or like in Bad Boys 4, when they're all of a sudden at this abandoned water park, and
there's
these monstrous, deadly alligators.
Right.
There. Yeah.
Like, makes no sense within the context of the story, but they're doing it just because they're like, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this? In this movie, they make all that stuff work. So it's like, in the trailer, you see one of the fights is in a kitchen, and you're like, why is it in a kitchen? And it's like, it makes sense. And it's like, why is there this thing with an ambulance, or why is there this thing with an automotive shop? And it all makes sense. It's tied to the characters, it's tied to the story, and you get all of these unique things that he gets to do with his powers that allow you to really have a good time with this premise and get to, without having the suspension of disbelief broken by being like, why are they at a cotton candy factory? You know what I mean? Like, you never have that, because you're like, oh, this is why they're here, and it makes sense. And now we're going to see him do fun stuff in this environment. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Cam, after hearing you say that description, I really wish that I would have chosen the word premise. Because you said it so many times to establish your thoughts, and I'm very sad that that's not one of the words that I chose to destroy your life.
If I make it through this whole thing without saying the word, man, I deserve a reward of some kind.
I don't understand how you're doing it, but before
I get to inflict pain, I get to punch you in the face as hard as I can.
You get to punch me in the face?
Yeah.
Why would you want to do that?
That's my reward. Because it's payback for whatever you would have done to me.
You would want to inflict pain on me for something I didn't do to you.
For something I thought you might do to me. Just to make it clear.
I don't know if that's exactly fair.
Well, we'll see.
While we're still on Showstopper, before we move on to Director's Shoes, I do want to just talk briefly, because it kind of fits in this category of how it looked when, like, obviously the spoiler-free premise of this is that we know that he cannot feel pain. So what sorts of things happen? How do they show that? Can you tell us without spoiling the artistic value of that?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's like, I think there's a scene in the trailer that illustrates it really well, where he's fighting the guy in the kitchen and the gun falls in the fryer, and you're,
Okay.
a normal character is like, that's off limits, I can't reach in there, or he doesn't have a weapon, but there's a skillet on the stove that's hot, or like he's been shot in the leg with a, like a crossbow bolt or a bow and arrow or something like that. And it's like, well, that would normally matter, but he can use that as a weapon. He can stick the arrow through his leg and then kick somebody in the head. So there's all these situations. It's unbelievably well done.
Right.
I was very pleasantly surprised with that aspect of the film.
Yeah, it's crazy when you have someone who can't get.
I won't.
What's the word I'm looking for here?
I don't know.
You can't get
injured.
That's not the word I wanted you to use, Cam.
Is it a synonym for the word you want to use?
I don't know. Is it? When you inflict pain on someone and it kind of,
smarts
doesn't feel good. So yeah, I guess I'll move on because that attempt failed. I can't even bait you. You're so locked in to not.
I'm so scared. I'll say it one time just to see what's gonna happen.
No, don't on purpose. By any means appease me or entertain me. Now, Cam, we're going to talk about the director's shoes, things that you would have changed about this movie. What is your director's?
Yeah. Why are you doing this? It's like becoming a Zoom call thing where it's like you can't tell if the other person's done talking. You're cutting each other off over and over again. My director's shoes. So I mentioned a little bit the tone.
What? I baited you.
What?
You said shoes. That's right. I built it into the framework of our review that if you were to say the word shoes, that's only one of the words. There's three. No. So you're still in danger after this. I brought this bag. That's right. It's a medicine bag. It looks like it's for pets, for a child who might play with a veterinary doll.
I hate this. I'm so scared.
But I will inflict pain on you first, Cam.
Okay.
By giving you a shot.
All right. And I'm playing the role of Novocaine.
Yes.
So it's not going to hurt me.
So I hope it doesn't hurt you.
Ow. That was so hard. That's going to leave a welt. Oh my gosh.
I've got a whole baggie here for you, Cam.
Geez. Something in there. It's probably like a pair of pliers or something like that.
I'm going to take your teeth out.
Going to rip my fingernails off.
Now that you are in a very comfortable position, please tell us how you would change this movie.
I mentioned the tone piece earlier about how they were trying to go for camp, and a lot of times it was too much cheese to be campy. Campy and cheesy, there's a fine line. They're related. They're adjacent terms. Cheesy is like, just like cringe. Campy is it's cringe, but in a way that they're like kind of self-aware about it, and it's just funny. It fits. It feels right in that moment. So it can be hard to distinguish that, but this one was a little bit too much cheese at times and a little too dark at times, which was strange. It's a rated R movie. It's a hard R. There's a lot of violence. There's a lot of gore, which you, I guess, would expect in a movie like this with this particular gimmick.
Yeah.
But the bad guys in this movie are sick sometimes. And it really catches you off guard because, like I said, the tone is pretty light and fluffy most of the time. But man, you'll get like 30 seconds to a minute of just like, oh my gosh, what are they doing?
All of a sudden it's like the Russian mafia.
Seriously.
Like, about to decapitate someone.
Like, yeah, it's jarring. But that's one piece of director's footwear. The other one is there is a ginormous story and character error in this movie midway through that I can't say what it is for spoiler free reasons. I have to keep it spoiler free, but there is a catastrophic writing mistake. I don't know if it's not a mistake in that they say something wrong or do something wrong and then like have a continuity issue. It's more about the timing of a certain thing and what it does to a character and what it does to the story overall. It's smack in the middle of the movie. When it happens, you'll know, and then you will live with the ramifications of it for the rest of the film.
Wow.
It messes up a character. It messes up key relationships in the movie. It messes up lots of things, and ultimately, it really, I almost said it really,
say it.
it really inflicts pain on the film as a total work. The story error that I think that they make, it's a big one, and it was one I saw this movie with Stefano, and right after the movie we were both like, why did they do that one thing? It immediately came to mind, and it's pretty shocking. So
the only thing, I don't know why this comes to mind, and it probably is not like this at all. It reminds me of how Boy Meets World, Corey and Topanga's love story changed after a couple of seasons. It's like they met when she was a crazy wild girl and he was a dorky boy, and she kissed him in the hallway after an activist moment of handcuffing themselves across the hall.
Yep.
And then they rewrote it to they fell in love in the sandbox when they were 3 or 4 years old, and they've been in love ever since.
Yep.
And they make fun of it later. So is it writing that they like forgot that they laid the groundwork?
No, it's not like a continuity error.
Okay.
It's something. It's not something they retcon or anything like that. It's something that they first of all shouldn't have been in the movie at all, because I think it is a problem for the story in general. But there's also a huge timing issue with where you get this information.
Okay.
It's at the wrong point in the movie in such a way that it really is a burden on the rest of the film.
I don't know if anyone else is watching. I hope you are. We just do this for ourselves. But I am more intrigued than I have been in a long time about like, what is this error? I have to see this movie for the error.
Yes.
That's crazy.
It is an error, but it's a subjective error. I'm calling it an error. I think it's a big mistake.
Okay.
But other people might go, I don't think it messes with that character too much. I don't think it messes with the story that much. But it was big enough that Stefano and I both, without really saying anything to each other, turned to each other after the movie and were like, that they shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean,
wow. Bummer. Well, you've cleared another category, Cam. Well, you didn't really clear that one. That was when...
No, I didn't clear it.
But let's see what happens in Last Looks. I want you to wrap this movie up. Tell us any kind of remaining thoughts you might have and score it for the audience.
Yeah, this one, it's exactly what you kind of expect from a mid-budget action rom-com. And in a way, it feels like a movie that's kind of placed out of time. This is like the kind of movie that we would get in like the 20-aughts and like the 2010s of just like a mid-budget studio film with some B-list type actors that's funny, it's obscene, it's maybe gruesome or vulgar or whatever, but it's just meant to make you have a good time. I mean, I think of a movie, one example would be what was it called? Road Trip with Zach Galifianakis and Robert Downey Jr.
Is it called Road Trip?
And I don't know what it's called, but it's something like that.
I know that movie though. They're in a truck.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just this kind of, I don't know. That's a weird example. It's very off the wall. But you know, it's that kind of movie that doesn't really exist anymore outside of streaming. But to have this as a theatrical release, it was like, oh yeah, I remember movies like this. And I don't think it goes above that. I think I've seen a lot of people really, really praising this movie. I don't think it totally deserves that. I mean, I think if you look at the production value, there's some good stuff, but it's, you know, they're not doing anything ultra cinematic with this, which I think is okay because of the type of movie that it is. I mean, it's very much like rom-com kind of light, and they're not trying to do anything overly artistic with it. So it's not just like some major cinematic achievement, and it's not one of those movies that you see like a John Wick where you go and you're like, this is going to be stupid action, and then you're like, that looked so good and felt so natural. So it doesn't overachieve in that way for me, but it was exactly what I was expecting, and I'm not mad about that. Wish it had been funnier. I think they just thought some stuff was funny that really wasn't. I think there were some bits that they tried to pull off that didn't work. That hurts it. And I also think this movie's a bit too long. They're particularly the third act goes on quite a bit longer than you really want it to. So it's definitely got some issues. I'm in the middle on this one. I'm giving it a 5.5 out of 10.
Wow.
5.5.
Incredible focus to only get one of my words that was planted.
That was a cheap word to put in there. That was really cheap to build it into the show structure.
Shoes.
What were the other 2 words?
The other 2 words were hurt. I
knew that one
for sure, that you would say the word hurt.
And because of that, doing my director's footwear section took me so much longer than it would have, because I wanted to say that word so many times with relation to how the story change impacted the movie.
Yeah.
But I couldn't. And so I really had to do some mental gymnastics there to avoid that one.
I thought the word slapstick would come up because of, you said gimmicky a lot.
Maybe it should have come out. Maybe this is a black mark on my record as a film critic.
It's fine. I think that you were either telepathically guarding your body, and so you're like, oh, I know he's going to use that word. That's a word that he uses. And I should have watched a couple episodes just to like refresh some words that you might reuse.
Yeah, I do use a lot of words over and over and over again. So yeah, you should try this bit again in the future.
After watching all 300 plus episodes
for Novocaine 2. And then I definitely have some isms that I use over and over again.
And here's a word. This was the bonus one if I got so lucky. The word kill. You didn't say the word kill this entire episode.
I did not.
I mean, I'm not going to stab you.
No, again. Don't.
But I had the shot.
You had a blood pressure cuff?
I had a blood pressure cuff.
That wouldn't even fit around my arm.
It would wrap it around like one of your fingers.
Yeah.
Your strong, manly hands.
That's a nice way to put it.
And then I had like this little card that I was gonna do like an eye card, right? Like there's and a stethoscope. Just let me listen to your heart for a second.
You're just gonna bludgeon me with that? You can't even get it around your head. You can listen to my wheeze.
Hope that picks up.
Yeah, it was good. I could hear it in my headphones.
All these fun props, I'm going to bring these back. I just won't harm you with them in the future.
Good.
If you have a bruise, please share that on social for the viewers.
I'm
tomorrow.
worried about it. Yeah.
I would really like to know if I did some damage. I was just so excited that I got to pull this bag out and use it. So
yeah.
I'm not really sorry. So, but
you're
I'm
always the prop
sorry.
guy, so I can't get mad about it.
Yeah. So
I am fuming. I'm absolutely seething in real life.
He's gonna leap across this table as soon as we turn the camera off. I'm actually never gonna end this recording. So thank you for being with us today. Thank you for going out and watching movies in the theater. There are some movies that you must see in the theater. We wish that whatever way you can see it, that it's comfortable for you. This one sounds like it could go either way, according to Cam. I kind of lean with him, but I do want to see it to know this detrimental, awful issue that they took place.
You should, and shout out to Paramount Pictures, who I feel like has really marketed this movie quite well. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you look at their track record kind of post-COVID, when nobody was making money, they were the one studio who was really making really smart choices with what they were releasing. You think about the Smile movie, you think about Quiet Place Part 2, Top Gun Maverick, Paw Patrol movie. I mean, they had a lot of very tactical releases that did work wonders for them. So shout out Paramount. They're doing the Lord's work out there distributing movies. And this is one that would normally, like I said, be streaming fodder. And it was not. And I'm glad it's not.
Straight to the theaters. Good job, Jack Quaid, who I referred to as Randy Quaid earlier. As I was talking to my father-in-law. Like, nice. Yeah, Randy Quaid's in this movie. And he said, Randy Quaid. Rightfully so.
That's awesome.
Nepotism from his father and his uncle in this business. Thank you so much for our sponsors, St. Louis Area Smoothie Kings. Thank you for Afton Spriggs, who is the voice in our intro. Thank you for Ryan Spriggs and Rhetoric, the band who plays this music. Thank you for Cam letting us use his basement and his dogs and his family for sleeping while we record deep into the night. And we will talk to you very, very soon. We'll see you then.
See ya.